Stage 1, pressing for flight. Launch reactor on countdown 1. We are go for launch.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started.
The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to Pressing for Flight, live from the Space Coast, where the schedule never holds. I'm your host, Stephen Marr. I'm joined by Mr. Stephen Keagle.
Hi, guess what?
What?
Starship still sitting over here in Cocoa.
Thank you for the update. We have next to him Matthew Jordan. He is muted. I don't know if he realizes that.
Yo, what up? I realized.
Okay. And next to him, we have Matt Cutshaw. And next to him, we got Bekah Penland.
Hello.
So usually every week, if you watch the show, I don't know how many people listen, but like do the audio only. But I usually try to start the show with the launch, like the webcast of whatever launch just happened. And there was no like actual launch, but what we do have is a Starship serial number 1 going kaboom. Or according to Scott Manley, it was an explosion, implosion, explosion. Did you guys watch that video that he put out?
Yes, it was brilliant.
Yeah, he explained it very well. It's like talking about how the fuel, well, it's not fuel, it's like nitrogen, right? Weren't they using liquid nitrogen as far as we know?
Yeah, either nitrogen or helium.
Yeah, something inert. That's why there was no like fire, you know.
Like, yeah.
But yeah, like it's like draining out of the bottom, and you know we were watching it actually. I was honestly not expecting anything exciting to happen. Bekah was over here too. And you know, I'd been watching this for a while. And she's like, "What are you watching? And is anything going to happen?" And I'm like, "Well, this is one of those things where you're watching to see if what you hope doesn't happen happens," and it happened. And when all this here, I'll back it up and share the screen so we can all be on the same page. But when you started seeing the venting, the odd venting, this is when I was like, I don't think, you know, of course, when you're watching this stuff,
It's not supposed to do that.
yeah, you're like, well, you know, this is a new vehicle. I don't know where it's supposed to vent from. You know, for all I know, this is normal, but it started to look a little crazy. And then this at the top, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And then it went kaput.
It looks like a frosty can of Coors Lite.
Yeah, actually, I think in Scott Manley's video, he went ahead and took, I think it was Mary's video and sped it up, and you can see the time lapse of the ice forming as the tank is filling up. So that was kind of neat. And then, of course, you know, the next day, always vigilant, Space Padre Gene, he went out and got some photos.
That is awesome.
Yeah, of the wreckage. Look, and some got thrown away, and I didn't see it from Space Padre's video, but other angles you can see that something got thrown like a long way.
It went up.
Yeah, well, the like the Starship itself, it went up, and I'm like animating, like you guys can actually see me. But then when it came down, something shot off to the side, like laterally. And I don't know what it was, but
I had to find one of those slow motion videos and watch it again.
Yeah. Or well, I know it's in Scott Manley's because he did comment about it. So I've seen where some people have said that this one was never actually intended to fly anyway, but
I thought Elon said.
I thought that
he wanted
it was, you know, and you know, there never was like an official statement. You know, SpaceX never put out anything that I saw that was like, hey, you know, we had an anomaly, and this, you know, was obviously not planned.
I did notice that where it was like thing happened, and I see lots about it because everybody's posting and reposting this video, but I didn't hear anything from SpaceX until they put their video of it out.
Oh wait, did they put a video of it out?
I believe I saw a video from them of the anomaly. But,
well,
I mean,
wait. I wonder. Are you thinking of Elon sharing?
Yeah, that might
Mary's.
be it.
Yeah, because I think he put out a tweet. It was like, "So how was your night?" But he put Mary's video, Boca Chica gal.
Yeah.
He put
Yeah.
her
Yeah, yeah.
video in there.
Popping.
Yeah, which that was a really good video. She did a great job on that.
Yeah, she did.
Um,
But it was weird, but they do use a destructive design process. Like they are willing to blow up rockets to get to what they want to get done.
right.
So, I mean,
Was
every
it
time
really
that
rocket yet?
happens,
It was just a big fuel tank,
well, I mean, it's getting close to being rocket.
Well,
you
they were
know?
going to put an engine on it.
but there wasn't.
At some point there wasn't an engine. You're right. So they blew up a tank, right?
Yeah.
To them, the loss of
Another
that
one.
tank, they might have lost like what $10,000 worth of space grade aluminum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
10,000. Probably more than that.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's a lot of
But there's also the labor involved.
The labor involved.
But they
yeah.
were, they weren't planning. This obviously was not going to be the final one. But I'm sure there's some cost involved.
Sometimes you just throw the thing together and say, "Hey, is it going to work?" And if it doesn't, you go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and what was it? I just saw. I was looking into stuff before we started talking about how serial number 2 is already moving along more quick. Oh, it was Eric Berger put out an article about it because apparently he visited Boca Chica the day after that,
Yep, sure did.
and he just put out an article. I don't have it pulled up on here, but it's a good article. I've only read like half of it, and so I need to go back and read the rest. But he did mention that the second one is already moving faster. So as long as they can fix the damage to the stand that it was on, which from his observation, he said that he didn't think it was that bad, and some nearby tanks took a little damage. So I think that it's all right. Ain't nothing to be upset about. They weren't planning on blowing this one up. This wasn't intended to be a destructive test, but it was.
You learn every time something like that happens, and that's the important part.
Yeah, you learn more from stuff like this than when everything goes perfect.
Yeah, if it goes perfect the first time, what are you learning? Oh, I make perfect things. No, that's not the way it works.
Right.
That's when Challenger happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to Challenger.
Yeah, there were.
A lot of people signing for the engineers that didn't want it to fly.
Ah,
You know what I'm talking about? There's that one dude that he's done interviews. This was not part of the itinerary, but yeah, there's that dude that does interviews. I can't remember his name. He's like a red-haired dude, but he talks about how he really did not want to give the okay, and then the managers over him ended up signing for him, and like I don't think it was necessarily something that they weren't allowed to do, but it was something that was unprecedented, to go because usually they ask for the engineers okay. They want the people that actually work on the hardware to give the okay. Anyway, yeah, Challenger's sad. If anybody ever wonders why NASA's been so hard on SpaceX and Boeing as far as safety, the last couple of years there was stuff about the whatever that magic ratio was, where it has to be this has to be the likelihood of a failure. It's like 1 out of some high number, I don't know, 200 and something or other. And people would criticize NASA and be like, well, the shuttle didn't even have that good of a record. But
no, the shuttle had a 1 in 75 record.
yeah.
And so that's why.
I will say though, with SN1 though, Elon was not happy about that blowing up. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. He was not happy about that at all. He apparently went and talked to the hardware guys and was like, hey, look, he basically said, if you guys have any concerns, email me, get a hold of me somehow, but this is not okay. This was not okay. He was not a happy camper about it. So from what I read, sounded like this was not intentional.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't intentional. I mean, just from his reaction on Twitter, you could tell it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
Because at that time, and the reason, I guess I tweeted it from the Next Horizons page, that it's not clear if this was an intentional destructive test or something like that, and obviously we knew leading up to that it wasn't going to be a destructive test, but sometimes SpaceX likes to call an audible, and and they'll go ahead and they'll pressurize until the thing blows, and so that's the only reason that I worded it that way. But we knew going in that it wasn't as far as we knew, the public knew, it wasn't intended to be destructive. But that's okay. Better blow them up now.
Yeah, better blow them up on the ground with no one near it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you have people on it.
It was someone, I wish I remembered who said it to me, but it's probably a common phrase, but better be, what is it? Better to be on the ground wishing you were up there than be up there wishing you were on the ground.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, basically. In rocket speak. So anyway, keeping with SpaceX, we do have CRS-20 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We have a launch and a landing. Finally.
Yeah, it's
We
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, because I feel like the last couple, because the CRS, we've always just been like, oh, it's a CRS mission. Oh, that's a land landing. And for the longest time, that was just understood. That was the way it was. But then there was a couple where there were different reasons that they chose to use the drone ship. One of them had to do with they needed to expend a little more propellant because of some kind of test thing that they were going to do with the second stage. Does anybody remember what that was? That was from CRS-19, I think. No.
No,
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I mean, they're working on the whole possibility of reusing the second stage. They like to test their engines in the upper atmosphere, so it could have been any number.
I don't know if they're still going for the second stage thing. It was some kind of trick they were trying to demonstrate for like the Air Force or just DoD in general or something.
It'd be really cool if they did. If they really got to the point where they can reuse the second stage, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I remember back in the day there was the video. There was the concept video of how they would do it. You know, the second stage had these little feet on there. I mean, I'm sure they're like little feet. You know, they're probably huge. I remember what the other one. The reason that they didn't land on LZ1 was because that was back in either end of April or May, right after the first Crew Dragon had blown up.
Yeah.
Yep. So they didn't.
Yep.
They wanted to
it was contaminated.
Right.
They wanted to clean it all up, so now we're good to go again.
Yeah. So
somebody won the lottery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll talk about that, and then we'll throw it over to Matt Jordan, and he can talk about some of the payloads on board. So there is this really neat thing, and I think I mentioned that the lottery was happening. That a handful of us that do the remotes and that are on the media side of things, we got this opportunity to just put our name in a hat for a drawing to be able to set up a remote camera on the roof of this building that's on Air Force grounds. It's like 2.3, 2.4 miles from the landing pad. And we'd just be able to set up our cameras there like you do at a launch pad, but a little further away. But the closest that any, as far as I know, media cameras have been able to set up, except for Ben Cooper, who, those in the photography game know that Ben Cooper has like some ultra special access. He shoots for NASA and SpaceX and ULA, and when he goes and sets up cameras, I just imagine like he just drives up there and takes as much time as he wants, puts camera wherever he wants. So it's a little bit different. So Ben Cooper
homeboy climbs towers.
Hats
and
off,
stuff, man.
Yeah, hats off to Ben Cooper. He sets his cameras everywhere. So yeah, everyone's super envious of Ben. But this will be the first time that anybody else, as far as I know, has been able to set up a camera. Well, as the days went on, Jim decided to look into whether or not we'd be allowed to actually just post up there and be there for the launch and landing. And he got it worked out. He talked to the right people. Apparently, there was going to be some people out there that were looking for a place to watch from anyway. And so he suggested this same spot that we were going. And he's like, hey, we could, work something out. And so we actually get to watch it from up there on that building. And I don't even know the name of this building. I've found it on Google Maps. And when I've talked to some of the other photographers that were wondering where it was, all I can do is look it up on Google Maps and share the location because it's not labeled. Like, I think it's labeled as Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, but that's just like a general pinpoint that Google does sometimes, It's just some building that we'll be on. I don't know exactly what our view is going to be like. I suspect that we can't actually see the landing pad. Like we can't see the concrete on the ground. There's still, I think, going to be some trees and stuff blocking the view. So the fact that we're there in person is really going to help out, because I was a little bit worried that, maybe like they don't have the lightning towers like all the other launch pads do. So I was kind of worried that there wouldn't be a way to really tell exactly where it is. But we'll be there in person, so, we'll just be able to actually follow it with our cameras. So that'll be awesome.
Woohoo.
Yeah, woo. And this will be Bekah's first landing that she's got to actually watch. She's been here for one more, but she was inside the pizza shop. And she got to hear the sonic boom, but she didn't actually get to see it landing.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
A lot of people say they prefer the night landings. Night landings are totally awesome, but I kind of prefer the daytime ones because you can actually see the booster the whole way down. Because when it's nighttime, you only see the booster when its engines are lit.
Yeah,
you can kind of actually as it gets close to the ground, you can kind of see like the engines are glowing hot, sort of thing. But during the day, you can if you can keep your eyes on them, because obviously they get it really high and they get really small. But if you can keep your eyes on it, or better, if you have like a pair of binoculars or just a camera, if you have just a simple camera, you don't even need like crazy zoom, but you can follow the whole ballet where it separates off of second stage, flips around, does its boost back. And depending on the position of the sun at the time, you can see the little bursts of the cold gas thrusters that are repositioning it to come back and start re-entering the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But that's not to take away from a night landing. It's just I like to be able to see stuff. I like seeing stuff.
Nights are good for streaks.
Yeah.
That's what nights are good for.
Yeah, so
good for streaks.
Yeah, so everyone's gonna get a shot to do the launch and landing streak. And depending on where you are, just a little photography tips. It's really cool to go for that full 8.5 minute exposure if you can. Make sure you do a test shot before the launch, because if it turns out that you've got some lights or something around and you just can't keep it from getting blown out without separating into two exposures, then you definitely want to change your game. It's a lot easier to just set it for that long exposure, because we'll get the press kit. It may even already be out. I haven't checked Reddit or anything, but it'll tell you the timing. Say after liftoff, the landing will be at this time. It's like T plus 8.5 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's something like that, or 8:15 or something. And so try to do a test exposure. Obviously the bulb setting. With your f-stop at whatever you like. And make sure that you're not going to get it blown out by doing that full, because you can do it if you're dark enough. You can totally do that long of an exposure. But if you're someplace that has some lights and stuff, you want to make sure you do that test run before you ruin your shot doing the whole thing, because you can separate it into two. If you just do like 4 minutes and then 4 minutes, your chances of your shot being blown out are much slimmer, and then you just stack them in Photoshop or whatever. What's the other one that people use, the free one?
Photoshop Express.
Well, there's that's on your phone. I'm thinking more like on your desktop. It's GIMP.
Oh, GIMP.
Yeah,
GIMP.
GIMP. It has a lot of the same features as Photoshop, so you can layer, change blending mode to lighten. You guys know the deal. We've talked about it before.
Yep. I haven't used GIMP yet. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
I hear it's great. I hear that people, that just don't want to have to pay for Photoshop just have chosen just use GIMP, and there's a lot of the same features are there. The simple stuff. I know there's going to be things that obviously Photoshop's a powerhouse, but a lot of the simple stuff.
GIMP is fairly powerful too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
GIMP was essentially designed to be like Photoshop for like Linux machines.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
And then they saw there was a market to.
Yeah, there's a potential for it because it's open source.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Stranger said the Blue Origin water tower would be a great vantage point.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, that would be. Yeah, maybe Jeff Bezos will be up there watching.
All right.
World's tallest water
I
tower.
guess I should.
He's swimming in a bathtub of dollar bills right now.
Should know.
Like
More like
$100 bills.
100. I was about to say $100 bills. Gold bars, man.
Scrooge
He,
McDuck.
he sold a
Yeah.
bunch of Amazon stock.
Yeah,
Did he
Jason,
grow up in a concussion?
I'm with you, Jason. Daytime is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So Matt Jordan did some reading and stuff, and he was going to tell us a little bit about some of the payloads on Dragon going up to the space station.
Yes, absolutely. So, listening into some of the press availabilities and just gleaning some information from the actual NASA site for the launch, we can find stuff like there's a couple of interesting health missions that are going on. First, there's a continuation of the DVT study that I know we've done an article on the Next Horizon site.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be promising especially for like a long endurance space flight, flying to places like Mars or doing multi-month journeys to the moon. That could definitely be a booster for that. We got organ chips. Basically, they have found a way to grow pieces of specific different human organs on a chip. The one that they're sending up this time around is called gut on a chip, and it's basically a little piece of intestine that they're growing on a chip, and
Really?
they can do interesting experimentation on it, and it's not on a human, so they can do things that you couldn't logically do to a human because you might kill them.
So the chip is like, it's more than just like a scaffolding.
Yeah, absolutely. The chip is actually connected to the tissue electrically,
and then connected to a computer.
and then connected to the computer. Yes.
And then they like control stuff with like electrical pulses and stuff.
It's not so much for controlling with electrical pulses. They want to see, what electrical pulses this living piece of tissue.
Oh, it's more like a
will
sensor.
produce while in microgravity.
Oh, okay, all right. So it's more like.
And I mean, if they wanted to do things like, okay, well, what does this particular solution? What will that do to the piece of living tissue? We can put a droplet on there. So
okay.
interesting stuff like that is going up. Let's see what else we have here. They have another one that's called MVP Cell 3, which is a basically an experiment on how heart cells grow in flight in microgravity. So that one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple of manufacturing process experiments going up.
Like there's a Tupperware. Right, Tupperware has something.
Tupperware.
Is that one of them?
Yes, Tupperware does have something. Tupperware. Let's see, where's the Tupperware one?
Are they setting remotes from space?
I know, right? I know. I saw Tupperware.
Not need to reheat their
get it.
lasagna. In there.
Yeah, talk about protective boxes, y'all.
So the one that I've been seeing the most out of was the Adidas Boost investigation.
Okay.
So basically,
Space shoes.
Adidas uses a particular manufacturing process to make the midsole in between the part where your foot touches and the part that touches the ground. There's the midsole.
Mm-hmm.
So they use this thing called foam molding manufacturing, and there's different foams that you can throw in there, and that's how that insole is basically. They spray these foam pellets into a mold, and then the pellets expand and combine to each other, and that's what makes the finished product. They want to see how that works in microgravity with several different types of these particles. So they're sending up the Adidas Boost investigation to check that out. Another big one was toward better 3D printing. So they're going to be testing different types of materials, both self-replicating and self-assembling materials and devices. So this is called the ACE-T ellipsoids experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically going to be designing and assembling three-dimensional colloids, or basically particles suspended within a fluid in microgravity. And by using that, they can work towards better 3D printing processes here on Earth. And then let's see, there's how to conserve water. And I believe this is the one.
Is this the one with the shower head?
Yeah, it's basically seeing how different shower head patterns affect water in microgravity and not just on Earth. and seeing how those water droplets actually form into larger droplets. We know how that works on Earth. We don't know how that works in microgravity, so that could help
Right.
improve the
And then
technology.
sometimes you learn something in microgravity that can actually just help you improve the product, even using it on Earth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's one of the things that's really going to blow up the space revolution, if you will, is more industry moving into space, not just doing experiments in space, but actually making products in space that can only be made in space and then shipping those back to Earth.
Right.
So that's something to look forward to in the future. The new big one for me, and the one I'm actually the most excited about, is called Bartolomeo. And that is actually a new facility that is created by the ESA. And it's been built by Airbus, and it attaches to the exterior of the Columbus module, which is the European module.
Okay.
And it allows 12 experiments to sit outside of the space station at one time, and they have a power source, and basically they are making they're putting them up for grabs for scientific. They've set quite a few aside for like university type scientific, so not a lot of cost, but there's also companies that want to use these spaces as well for different experiments or Earth observation or astronomy observation. There's many different uses because they're actually pointing in different directions, the slots where they can put these experiments. So it's really cool. It's going to provide a lot more space for smaller countries, ESA countries, cutting edge countries. Some of these African countries can actually put stuff in space relatively cheaply and start, getting their own foothold. Yeah. And that's always a good thing.
I've got a map here of the space station. It's kind of, I was trying to find a bigger image, y'all. I'm sorry, but it just shows where that Columbus module is, where it's going. It's gonna be on the outside, right? And people would just be able to put their little experiments on it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be right out here.
So if pressing for flight center experiment, what would we put up there?
Ooh.
Beer.
We just put our beer.
Handle vacuum space.
I mean, they've already started growing hops in space, so.
Yeah, they have. Oh, let's see.
What was that last thing called?
Bartolomeo.
It sounds like spaghetti sauce.
It does. Well, I mean, it was designed by the Italian Space Agency. And I remember the Tupperware one. It was not on the list, by the way. It wasn't on the list on the NASA site. But I do remember what the Tupperware one is, that they actually, Tupperware has built a gardening space for the space station that is a completely no input gardening system, basically, aeroponic system.
Okay, I've got the this email. They sent us an email to say like what the different payloads were going to be for as far as like people that we could talk to and ask them questions. And I guess it's called PONS.
Yeah, PONS.
Short for Passive Orbital Nutrient Delivery System. Let's see, it says it's a collaboration between NASA, TechShot Inc., and the Tupperware Brands Corporation. It introduced a plant growth unit called PONS, short for, I already said that. The PONS units are an entirely passive system, meaning no electricity, no pumps, no moving parts. And the basic concept involves using a freestanding reservoir of water that plants can draw from when needed, cutting down on time astronauts would spend watering plants during the growth interval. So this is just another one of those things that we're going to need to know how to do if we're going to live in space, have, lots
absolutely.
of people living in space.
Yeah, food we grow in space is stuff we don't have to send to space.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it.
They could just have McDonald's on there. It's fine.
Not yet, man. Soon. So, we have aeroponics, we have hydroponics. This one is astroponics.
Oh, yeah. I like it. All right. Well, so let's see. So Dragon will be up there typically 30 days. Has anybody heard anything different? It's typically a month or so that Dragon stays up there.
Yep.
And then, this is going to be the last West Coast recovery.
Yeah, it's the last West Coast recovery. It's the last mission of the initial CRS phase 1.
The version 1 Dragon.
Yep. Dragon 1, yep. Gonna have to get Justin out there to get some more shots for
Yeah.
the last time.
Yeah, and then there's NRC Quest out there, which is I don't know why there happens to be two SpaceX boats that have the Quest name. I don't think they're related at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that boat's going to do. I wonder if they'll come over here because, we'll have two drone ships. I wonder if they'll bring NRC Quest over here and use it as a support ship. Or if GoQuest can just handle it all. But yeah, this is the last one of version 1, and then from here on out, it's just going to be version 2. Cargo, let's see, what do they call it? Cargo Dragon 2? Is that right?
Yeah, Cargo Dragon version 2 or just Dragon 2.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, the next Cargo Dragon mission will be in October.
Oh, really?
It seemed like a ways out, but it's because of the change of the phases.
Yeah, the new new
The
hardware.
21 will make phase 2. So
one thing I'd like to know. Oh, I shouldn't tell everybody my little secret I just came up with. If I'm able to get into the NASA press briefing, an interesting question might be, which I hate to ask about anything related to failures, but will the escape system be armed when they launch cargo on Dragon 2? If it's just cargo, will they still have that escape system armed?
probably not, because that's less weight they would have to send up. If it's not armed, they don't have to have the hydrazine in there.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's even gonna have those vents, for the Super
Probably not
Dracos.
on the cargo version. And
Yeah.
that's just more equipment. That's more weight they would have to sling up every time, and that comes down to fuel costs. So
Yeah, that's true.
they don't really have fuel cost problems, though.
Yes,
Bekah.
I heard a horse.
Of course.
When you go and you have your interesting question, would you like to borrow my horse?
Just play that real loud.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, everyone
Get
just turns
attention,
around
you're
like,
what?
What the heck? Was that a horse?
Because
What the-
like you wouldn't be able to hear it on NASA TV, but everyone in the room would definitely be able to hear it. It's not a very big room.
No, it's not.
Like it kind
And
of.
somebody would be like, obviously someone has a question.
I've heard this before.
Yes, Mr. Ed. Oh man, that is so funny. Well, the another question that I was wondering, but I don't want to ask stupid questions that have already been answered, but I keep hearing different things. I know what I've heard from SpaceX, or at least I think I remember what I heard from SpaceX, but there's other things people are saying online, especially like on Reddit and stuff, about the interchangeability between the Cargo and Crew Dragon, because I want to say I remember SpaceX saying that after a crew mission, they can reuse that capsule as a cargo capsule. Because so far, NASA hasn't approved them to reuse the Crew Dragon.
Yeah, for the first
crew.
few, they won't be reusing the Crew Dragons for at least for crewed flight, but I could see them reusing it for the cargo flights.
And I want to say that they have said that, but then again, like if you're active on Reddit and you follow the comment threads, which I learn a lot from the comments on the SpaceX subreddit, I see a lot of people saying no, absolutely not. They're not interchangeable. They're two completely different designs. But that just goes against what I think I remember of SpaceX saying, that you could take a Crew Dragon and then just make it a Cargo Dragon. So maybe that's a worthwhile question. I just, I wouldn't want to embarrass myself. Like ask a question and everyone just like a collective eye roll, like we already know the answer to this, Or maybe I'll just keep my mouth shut.
What? Oh, are you gonna be on? You gonna be on NASA TV?
I mean, I'll be in the room.
I just gotta make sure when you are on NASA TV, you just gotta make sure that you say, "Hi, my name's Stephen Marr. I'm from Next Flight Horizons, and I have a question for y'all."
Next Flight
Hey.
Horizons, just like that.
Yeah.
Just because I said it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if Jordan ever saw that. It was. We like to give him hell about it, but yeah, we were. It was a. Yeah, we were in a NASA social together, CRS 19, and Keagle got a good question in, but he definitely introduced it
I
as
bumbled through it.
next
Hey.
flight, next flight horizons.
Next Flight Horizons.
Oh, he was so nervous.
It's a nightmare
I was
though.
like,
Like
oh.
now that that's in
Yeah.
my head, now that
Yeah,
phrase
that's
is
gonna
in
come
my
up.
head.
That's coming up.
Honestly, I probably won't get a question in. You got your regulars, and I would never want to even try to go in front of them. It would only be once, your Kid and Cream, and your Chris G's, and Emery Kelly, Bill Harwood, Bill Harwood, yeah, from CBS. Like people like that, and I can't remember her name, but she's from Associated Press. Some of these regulars, I ain't gonna try to get a question in before these people because
What if
it's my
none of
first
them
trip
ask
out.
questions?
Well, then I'll raise my little hand.
Raise your little horse.
Wait, let's hear it again.
Okay.
Oh,
I wasn't
supposed
prepared.
to be ready.
I didn't have a question. Is it loud enough?
Yeah, we could. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, anything else about CRS-20? Matt, what are your photography plans? Keagle, you guys are meeting up at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Miko are going to be together.
You guys want to talk
Me-
about
me-
what your plans are, or you want to just let it ride?
It's going to be me, Keagle, and Emily. Emily's still coming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be me, Keagle, and Emily.
I might meet up with Brad and Tinny. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe
we're all
Bekah.
going
That's
So we're-
time.
to. Our plans are Cherry Down, just because that's a good, like you were saying, it's a good spot to see the launch and a really good spot to see the landing all the way through,
Right.
touching down to the pad. So
Yep, you can still see it. Now, it'll be dark, so once the engines go out, you may not I don't know if they're going to have floodlights on it or what, but because it's dark, you may not still see it, but you can, from Cherry Down, you can see the boosters still standing, whereas Jetty Park, you're blocked by a lot of stuff. Like there's like a hillside across the water from you at Jetty Park.
Yeah. You can,
It's a great spot. It's the closest you could. Well, actually, it's not the closest you could be. The closest would be on 401 next to the Air Force Gate.
but the trees block you again.
Even worse. Yeah, it's even worse over there, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, put the word out. I kind of feel like I should be holding this close to the vest, but Cherry Down's a place to be for a landing, really. But it's a big open beach. I mean, you almost can't fill it up. The only risk you have is running out of parking, but pick a road. All of those President Streets, they all end at a beach access up there. And so if, Washington is the northernmost, of course, Cherry Down Park has its own parking, and I want to say it'll fit like, I don't know, 50 cars or something like that. But then south from there, there's Washington, and then there's Adams, and there's Jefferson, and on down and down, and if you can't, you know how it works. You know how parking works.
you put it in between the lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please, between the lines. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Please don't take up 2 spots.
And not crooked between the lines.
Yeah. Yes. Please. Oh, and a nice
It'll take
thing.
20 minutes to back into the spot.
Nice thing about Cape Canaveral is they don't charge you to park, whereas Cocoa Beach does. Now that late at night, Cocoa Beach is free. Now that I think about it, because what is it after 10 they don't, or is it?
No, it's
even
earlier
earlier than that.
Like 7.
Like 8 or 9 or 7.
Yeah, they're like after 7.
7 or 4 or 6 or
Yeah.
3.
Sometime it's free. Until sometime in the AM, it's not free.
Yeah, I think there's a sign. Anyway, that late at night, Cocoa
Here's
Beach,
your
Cape
time.
Canaveral, you don't have to worry about parking. So that's your little helpful tip today. SpaceX just sent out a sonic boom advisory.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just saw it on my phone.
Love those.
Yeah, because
I
it
can
is going to be in
actually
the
hear
middle of
those
the
from
night.
my house.
Can you really out in Orlando?
On a quiet night, if the wind is blowing from the east, I can actually hear the launches as they happen.
Really?
Not as they happen. It's like 5 minutes of delay,
Is
and
it-
then I hear all the sounds. It's great.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like getting to watch it all over again.
Yeah.
But the wind has to be just right.
Yeah, and wait, let's see. Would humidity help or hurt? I would think it would
I
help
think the humidity helps.
because sound travels better in water,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It's because the molecules are closer together.
Right. We'll ask Ken Kramer.
but I'll also be getting my other body in tomorrow, so I'm gonna be rolling with Tree, man. Tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Not Tree Fitty, just Tree.
Just Tree. Rolling with Tree.
So you got 2 wide angles, right? Do you have 2 wide angles? Are you going to do 2 streaks?
I'm doing 3 streaks.
Oh, you're not going to do any handheld of it coming down? I mean,
It's,
might
it's
as well
not
take out
worth it,
the
man.
yeah, it's so far away.
It's not worth it. It's, yeah, even with my 600, it's still not worth
It's still
it.
so far. Uh-oh.
What on earth
Oh, we're
was
back.
that?
Oh, wow. That's like a
That was
miracle.
That was
Let's
weird.
see. Are we still... Did everybody just go black? And then,
Yeah, that was crazy.
let's see.
That was part of that Sonic Boom advisory.
Let's see what the... I want to see what YouTube saw. I think YouTube is like way behind. I think it's like 20 seconds behind. Oh, yeah,
They're just
everyone
seeing
went
it
black.
now.
So that was just a Hangouts issue. Okay, sorry everybody. That was just Hangouts.
Yeah, I'll be rocking with the 18. I'm gonna do my 8, and then probably I'm actually thinking about using my 28 2.8. Possibly.
Man, you ain't gonna get no streak in there. I mean, you
No,
get
that's-
something,
I know it's
but you're not
too-
gonna get the top part of it.
Ah,
I don't know.
My
You're
8,
right
nice.
up under it. If you can like align the horizon like right at the very bottom of
yeah.
the frame, and just point basically straight up. I don't know. 28, man. It's not very wide. I don't know. It could be wrong. I've been proven wrong before. I once advised somebody that their 15 would never work, that they needed to go down to their 10, but what I didn't realize was that they had a full frame, and so on a full frame, your 15 is much wider.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went down to 10. He's like, man, I had plenty of room. I was like, sorry, I didn't realize. All right, let's move on. This is we're moving on to. Well, I guess we're sticking with NASA and SpaceX working together because this mission is going to launch on a Falcon Heavy.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
This would be Psyche. It is named after the asteroid it's visiting. It's actually called 16 Psyche, and I wish I would have already figured this out before, but I'm guessing that Psyche it must be like the name of a telescope or something.
Greek goddess.
Is that it? It's
The
not-
Greek goddess of the soul.
Okay. Well then,
And it's the basis of the word psychiatry.
well,
Psychologist.
why are they called like the official name of it is 16 Psyche, right?
Yes,
and
it was named that in like 1854 or something.
Oh, really? We've known about this asteroid that
Yes.
long?
Okay, so 16 is the number designator, meaning it was the 16th one found.
Okay.
So it was the 16th asteroid found in the belt there in between Mars and Jupiter, in main belt.
This is one of those missions that I really, really like. Like, you remember when New Horizons flew past Ultima Thule? Like, it really caught my eye just because this is this super ancient body that's out there that's never had eyes laid on it except for maybe, just a couple pixels on a screen. And then we send something to it and take like super detailed images. And
Yeah, that was a good day.
and
Yeah, it was.
Psyche's going to actually orbit this asteroid, right?
Yeah, so the plan is for it to orbit the asteroid for about 20 months.
Nice.
And then what?
So basically, it wants to characterize this asteroid. The type of asteroid that Psyche is a metallic asteroid. This it has the highest albedo, which is reflectivity of any body in the main belt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the brightest thing in the main belt to us because it's that far away from the sun,
Okay.
but the sun's bouncing off.
That's
of
why
it.
we've known about it for so long.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
okay.
the sun bounces off of it, right?
Mhm.
So, and it has a very high albedo. So, using these albedo measurements and the fact that it has enough mass to actually move the stuff that's in the orbit around it, it actually has they call it perturbance.
Mhm.
So, it has perturbance on other bodies that are orbiting near it. So, we can find figure out the size using the math, and we can figure out what it's made out of using the math. So we're assuming that this thing is made out of nickel and iron, which is the same thing that the core of the Earth is made out of.
Right.
So essentially what scientists think we're looking at when we see Psyche is a protoplanet, a planet that didn't form once the mantle was in place.
Right. Well,
And
there's a since you're talking about the core thing, there's a really good clip on, and you can find this video. It was actually published almost 2 years ago, but it was published by NASA, and it's just real quick, maybe 30 seconds at most. But here, just listen to this.
It's believed that it may be a remnant core of an early planetesimal that was formed in the very, very earliest parts of the formation of the solar system.
And after this planet started forming and this metal core formed inside of that, it collided with other bodies that then stripped off the rocky mantle, leaving this core in place.
Yeah. So that's a great animation to show why they think this is a core. Like it used to have all the same, bits piled up on top of the core, a long time, we're talking early solar system formation.
when the Earth was still a ball of fire.
Exactly. Yeah. There was nothing living here. Maybe even before, there could have been, well, we know that there were cataclysms throughout Earth's history, but this is probably before anything ever happened on
Could
Earth.
have been before our sun.
Well, it was. I think the sun had formed at this point, or they think,
The sun would have been in formation. This would have been part of the
Accretion.
disk of debris, the accretion
Yeah.
disk. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's just neat to see ancient things, but it's also cool that this is going to give us an opportunity to kind of see what our core might be like.
Yeah, and that is the hope of scientists. Another really cool thing about it is, depending on what we find there, once we have, started the populating of Mars, we could go there. We could go to Psyche very easily from Mars, and that's something that space futurists are hoping for, is that some kind of triangle trade starts to come into play between the asteroid belt, Mars, and Earth.
And I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember which one it was. They were talking about how this particular asteroid is, it may have some platinum group metals, but they're in the 100 parts per million kind of range. So this isn't my first thought when I saw this is it's mostly metal. Oh, cool. Maybe it could be a testing ground for mining. Well, you'd still need to get it was 1,000 pounds just to get 1 pound, or maybe it's 10,000 pounds to get 1 pound of the thing you actually want, like the titanium metals and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is more a science mission. Maybe in the future, they could use it as a test bed for, we know there's a lot of metal here, so maybe we should go here and test things out. But
I guess
we're talking a couple hundred years in the future.
Yeah, I guess that comment that I saw, that when they were saying that this asteroid can make everybody on Earth a billionaire, is not true.
Well, yeah.
At what cost, though?
Yeah.
The problem with that is, and this was I think this was all from the Space Show, which is a great podcast if you want to dive deep, and there's no frills or anything. This is just smart people.
No horses.
Yeah, no, they don't allow horses. They do allow phone calls, but they don't allow horses. But yeah, they were talking about the economy of it, of if we ever do start mining asteroids and stuff. Well, it's really hard to get that stuff back down to the ground, so most of the stuff is going to stay up in orbit. If you mine it in space, it'll probably be used in space. It's not like you're bringing, massive diamond ingots, or I guess you don't call them ingots with diamonds, but huge diamonds down to the ground. And also, even if you could, it would it
Ruin the market.
It ruined the market. Yeah,
The market couldn't handle a large infusion like that. But to your point, building things in space, that's what we need mining in space for. Is it's much cheaper and easier to move around stuff in a zero gravity or a very low gravity environment than it is to move stuff around here.
Oh yeah, I mean, because even you don't need on Earth you need huge bulldozers, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bagger 288.
The
Bagger 288. It's this huge machine. It's ridiculously huge. Don't look it up now, folks, but you need to look up Bagger 288, and you'll find one of the best videos on the internet from back in the day. But it's this huge excavating machine. You need this really big machinery to be able to mine things on Earth and move things around. But in space, you don't need that much power, really. You need a little bit of thrust. And if you got enough time, as long as you're not trying to necessarily move fast, you just need a little push. And, gradually things, you move things together and you start doing stuff, heavy things can be.
That's how engineers explain it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Well, these are all technical terms. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk over your heads, y'all, but.
No, I'm definitely on the same page. I get it.
Things move and move.
Yeah, you move things. In space you can move stuff and you just push it and then it moves. It's not like George Clooney floating away where
Oh my God.
Yeah,
it works here too. I push this cup, I can knock it over.
A slight pull on that tether could have saved George Clooney's life, because they had stopped.
The tiniest amount of pull.
Yeah, they had stopped.
Saved his life.
Her foot was hooked. She had a foot hooked in the tether. He's drifting away. They reached a stopping point. All she had to do was just pull a little bit.
Just a touch.
Just a touch.
I haven't seen that movie yet, but I guess I have now.
Yeah, that's all there is. It's all about George Clooney drifting away. He's just constantly drifting away.
However, Bekah, just remember the thing that it is the driver in the movie, the action that happens between the different satellites and stuff happening in space. That's a real thing, and it could happen.
It can happen. Maybe not in the way that they portrayed it on there, but
not as quick. But some scientists have actually already predicted that it's already started. It's just moving so slowly that we're not seeing those effects yet.
We did look at a clip. I don't have it. I wonder if I can. Oh, I bet I could just pull up Dave's. So Bekah and I do this other show called Verbal Assault, and Dave, one of the guys on the show, sent me this clip. I want to talk about it and maybe even draw a diagram.
Oh, another shirt, folks.
I was about to say.
Let's see. What was it? Right here. And then let me drag that up there so you can see it. We value your privacy. I accept. Okay. Thank you for valuing my privacy. Here, let me share the screen. This is some orbital
let's
mechanics
blast it
stuff.
on the internet.
Oh, come on. You're not going to play? Oh, don't do this to me. Let me just refresh the page.
But while you're trying to do that, Jason asked, are we going to talk about the polar orbit launch tonight?
Yes, I actually did want to talk. Oh, I don't. I need to get that. Oh, wait. Do I have the map pulled up? I do.
Yeah.
Wait.
We're going to talk about it.
Polar orbit launch.
Yeah. Sun synchronous.
Yeah, we did talk about it last week, but there was a map came out that showed where the recovery zones were going to be. This video is not going to play. It's too busy loading all the ads.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Oh, hey, Walmart ad.
Hey, Walmart's got salad, y'all. I don't know if y'all know this.
They also got
Walmart
Tupperware.
salad.
They
do have Tupperware.
Space Tupperware.
I did
That's
my
right.
first order of all my groceries and then just drove up and I put in my car and I went home.
Yeah?
Awesomest thing I've ever done. I hate going in Walmart.
Yeah, man.
That's one thing that Dave is a big proponent of.
It's a love-hate.
Picking it up. Oh, yeah, I remember talking about that one time.
I was about to say, for an extra $5, you can have it delivered from Target.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love shopping. I will never
shipped.
do this. I love going to the grocery store.
All right.
I impulse buy.
So
I just hate grocery shopping.
I hate
Yeah, me
going to the
too.
grocery store.
Me too.
People block the
God.
whole aisle. It makes me so angry. It's like you learned how to walk in kindergarten.
I should have saved my diagram from last night.
No,
Maybe
you
video
can
play?
recreate it.
Oh.
I know you.
Yeah, I can probably do it again. Okay, so this is a video that I can accept that it is actually from NASA TV. They have a camera that streams live like pretty much all the time from the space station.
Yeah.
Sometimes it
And
goes
they
down.
play
But...
soothing music.
Oh yeah, they do. So apparently they saw something, and of course, internet likes to call everything a UFO, and then when you say, "Well, I don't think that it's aliens or anything," and they say, "Well, is it unidentified?" Well, that's an unidentified flying object.
Now, see,
I hate that argument, and I said
See,
as
I
much
believe
last
that
night.
flying would imply that it's actually under power. That doesn't. The thing you're showing me in this
Yes.
video does not look under the power.
That was one thing I did mention. It's like, well, I think I said flying to me implies that there's atmosphere involved. Some wings,
That's very true.
and some propulsion as well. It's a good point. Okay, so there's this object, and I'm not pausing it. It's the person whoever made this video, and then it rises up right there. Okay, so it goes from being basically kind of underneath and in front of the space station, and it moves in front of it. It basically overtakes the space station.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, and it looks like a CubeSat to me, man.
The CubeSat could be it's some kind of debris, I think, and then it rises
either
up
debris
and
or
goes
a
over.
small sat of some type.
So I'm gonna try to quickly do the same thing I did last night. Look at even.
Oh,
Craft time.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Another shirt, folks.
All right. Yeah, I gotta
That's
make this
dark.
bigger. All right, sorry y'all. All right, so this is the Earth. I know it looks a lot like the Earth, so I didn't have to tell you that.
It's not potato shaped enough.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna make this a circle, and we're gonna move it here. We're gonna say that's the space station's orbit.
Oh, it looks like an eyeball.
It's a circle. Guess what?
It's
a
an
circle.
eyeball.
All right, now let's just say that this object follows an orbit that looks kind of like this, right? So the space station's up here and looking down on the Earth, and this object is coming up underneath it. And because it's closer to the Earth, it's on the inside track, just like NASCAR. I know you guys like NASCAR, right? Get on the inside. You're on the inside curve, and then you pass it, right? So that's why this thing is passing it. And
Does
there's
it only go left?
Huh? Well, it depends on if you're looking from the North Pole or the South Pole. Of course, obviously. One of the things that they pointed out is that it seems to shoot up all of a sudden, which, by the way, side note, this is a time lapse. The space station does not fly over the Earth that fast. When you're looking from the space station, if you see real-time footage of a camera looking down at the Earth from the space station, it's moving, it's clearly moving, but it's much slower than what you see in this video. I'll let you get another look at it just so you can see what I'm saying. Like that is way too fast. This is a very fast time lapse. Yeah. Okay. And so at the end, this object seems to go like up. They think that it like shoots off. Well, the part that shoots off, I declare as lens flare, and you'll see it here in just a second. Bam, right there. And they're like, oh, wow, it's obviously firing engines or something. Well, no, it's actually just rising above the space station because it's on this inside track. But when it starts rising to its apogee, it has overtaken the space station, thank goodness, because that means it didn't run into the space station. So it's out in front, and it starts to rise to its higher altitude, its apogee, while the space station maintains its circular orbit. Now, I can't claim to know what it is exactly, but the chances of it being intelligent are very slim. It was made by intelligence, but it was us that put it there.
Well, I have one question. Can we see the price of what that multi-barbecue tool thing is?
What? Oh, the
Steven
Roxxon
Price.
S601 multi barbecue.
It says C price. I'm trying to
I
see
don't
what that
wanna-
is. It's
I
like
ain't
a
clicking
Swiss Army
nothing.
knife for barbecuing.
I ain't clicking
That looks
nothing.
like too much pain to clean.
And this is one of those sites. It's just nothing but just ads. Express.co.uk. Yeah, that's
Guys making their monies.
Are you ready for the explanation?
sure.
So I'm looking at it, and I was like, that looks so familiar. The video you showed. I'm looking at NanoRacks. Is actually a CubeSat launcher that was installed on the space station, and that is video of their January 9th launch of 2014 of CubeSat.
From on board the space station.
Yes, the video is actually being taken from the space station. The CubeSat was on the space station, and the NanoRack is basically what it does is it puts the CubeSat on a spring, and when they pull it back to the appropriate length, they know they're going to get this much delta V out of it, and they let it go. And it just flies off into space.
There you go. Now the claim.
So it was under power, but like not like rocket engine type power.
Right.
more
It
like
had been
cold thruster.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Okay, so it does have little.
Yeah,
little
it has
thrusters.
small thrusters to get it to the appropriate orbit.
And
parameter.
and orientation and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the headline on this article, and I didn't mean to spend this much time on this, but it says that NASA officials were baffled. And when we were talking about it on the show, I wasn't the one that brought this article up.
Fake news.
Yeah, fake news. Like I haven't heard the audio from it, so to say that they were baffled and they were wondering what it was and stuff, probably not. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe they asked some old retired NASA guy that was like the janitor.
Well, the claim was that you could hear them on from Mission Control talking about how they didn't know what it was.
I mean, there have been times where they haven't known where things are in space, and they do talk openly about that when it happens.
Yeah.
So it's not like that they're trying to hide anything there. So they could have. What I'm thinking is they just took the original video from that website and then interlayered something when space or NASA was talking about something they didn't know what it was.
They do see stuff
That's a
unknown
great
and
point.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that I was trying to debunk your fantasies and stuff, dude. But what is it called? A Kessel cascade?
No, what is that?
Kessler. It's called a Kessler cascade.
What is that?
Or a Kessler syndrome. It's the
yeah,
one thing hitting another thing and causing a cascade of damage through orbits.
Yeah.
If it already started, I think it started in the 90s, and it'll eventually roll around to us.
Right, and that was what we were talking about originally.
I got it back there.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Segue.
Yeah,
it was a bad segue, but it was a segue.
No, it was good. The threat of too much space debris, and it's a real threat.
Oh, it absolutely is, and they're working on new technologies to either push stuff into the atmosphere, collect stuff that's up there. It's actually more economical just to push the stuff into the atmosphere and let it burn up. But then, we only have tracking on things that are 1 inch and larger. And there's a famous picture of Space Shuttle Challenger from 1984, a piece of metallic paint. I think they said it was like 2 millimeters in size. Cracked the windshield on the space shuttle while it was in orbit.
Yeah.
So, and that was something that we don't even have the technology to track now.
No.
So,
yeah.
this is something I'm hoping Space Force actually works in favor of.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's figure out trash removal techniques. Let's get the junk out of space so that all these orbits that are, there are dead orbits where we can't put anything.
Like where satellites have been intentionally blown up to display the ability to
satellites,
do so.
Yes, Russia, United States, and China have all
in India now.
In India now, well, yes, I forgot about India. See, but we've all developed and used anti-satellite technologies, or what they call ASAT, and it's a type of warfare that everyone's really scared of because, well, hey, if they can take out one of their satellites when they know where it's going to be, and satellites are, they're movable, but they're also observable.
Yeah.
So, the first strike of World War III isn't going to be some nuclear weapon. It's going to be someone taking out the other side's all of their military satellites.
Yeah,
That's
that'll
the scared part of it.
That's a nightmare.
That would be a nightmare, right? Plus, it would make entire portions of space uninhabitable.
Okay, right now I am trying to find that dang map of the recovery area. I want to say that it was Emery Kelly that posted it, but now I can't.
It was Emery Kelly who posted it on the Florida, the news website.
Yeah, Florida Today.
Florida Today.
Yeah, Florida Today. I was getting there.
When though? Like this? I thought this was like the last couple days, maybe.
No, it was at least a week ago.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that I had bookmarked it, but apparently not. Oh, I'm going back way too far now. Well, so anyway, so their recovery areas are kind of weird. Like they have a spot that's like just north of Cuba, and then like the one that's just south of Cuba. So they're gonna have boosters coming in over Cuba. I just thought that was really interesting. And maybe that's just the fairing. Maybe the boosters will come in like north of Cuba, but the fairings will drift like south of Cuba. Because anytime they do these polar launches, it's going to go south. It can't go north and go polar because then you'll be flying over Georgia and the Carolinas and all that stuff. So you got to go south. But yeah, so who was it? Somebody asked if we we're going to talk about it. We did talk about it last week, but I am okay with just saying it is going to be awesome because and I think I may, well, you know what, it's gonna be too bright out for a streak anyway. I was thinking like, oh wait, should I do a streak? No, it's gonna be before the sun even sets, so I'm totally watching from the beach.
I would totally watch it from the beach.
Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty badass.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and it's a land landing, which I found out last week. I didn't even realize it was gonna be a land landing. So with the sun at that angle, you might be able to see those little cold gas thruster little puffs, you know, as the booster's flipping itself around.
Yeah.
That is always super cool.
Yeah, for the techies, that's the stuff right there.
Yeah, it's really cool. You just see these little semicircles just puffing out from each side of the booster. It's really neat. I don't know if we'll see the twilight effect happen because the sun will still be up.
If the sun's up, you won't get any twilight effect.
Yeah,
usually.
I don't think so either. But it'll be awesome. Polar launch. That's when is
polar.
No, what? No, hang on. Let me see.
Was that March 20th? I thought.
Yeah, but that's the 7 o'clock though. Is it's 7 o'clock? It would be the sun.
We're about to hit daylight savings,
That's
and,
true.
and then the sun. Seth said he thought it was going to be just after sunset. I want to say last week when Chris G was on, he said that it was going to be like
7:21. So
okay, so what time does the sunset on? You can't ask Siri that; she doesn't know.
Oh yeah, LZ1.
You can ask Siri that.
What time will the sun set on March 21st?
March 30th.
I don't know when sunset is on March 21st. Oh, what'd you say? Oh, it's March 30th. Oh, well, she's not going to know that either.
Well, she might. Ask her.
She's like, I don't know nothing about
Question everything.
Ask her nicely.
I can ask Alexa.
I'll just.
At one point, I knew how to actually calculate sunset by hand, but that's been years ago.
7:40.
7:40. Hey.
What time's launch?
7:21.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's your answer. Yeah, and he was Chris G was making the point that even if it like gets delayed or something, like it's going to be, this particular launch is going to be before sunset.
Yeah, because the sun synchronous.
Well, it is kind of a bummer, because you're not going to be able to get the streak shot. But this is one of those situations where I'm okay with it because nature has made that decision for me, and so I don't have a tough decision to make, because you can't, if you're up underneath it or up overneath it, if anybody wants to harken back to an older episode. If you're underneath it, then you're not going to be able to get a streak. I mean, you could get a streak, but you're not going to get the whole thing because it's going to come up and over you. But yeah, I can't wait for that one.
That's just one you want to maybe take some liftoff shots and just enjoy it, just watch it because
I mean, well, but the thing is
it's gonna be
it
cool.
will be coming closer. So you know how sometimes those liftoff or the in-flight shots don't come out so great even with your 600 millimeter. It's going away from you. So this time, it's actually obviously it's going to have some altitude above you, but it's actually going to be coming towards you. So I still going to be clicking away trying to get cool stuff. And especially with that boost back burn. With the possibility of like the sunlight hitting it in just a certain way where you can see those little thrusts. See those thrusts, baby.
So the sun synchronous orbit, if those in the viewing audience don't really know what that is, so it's an orbit that is designed with a very high inclination. So basically, it's going to go over the North Pole, over South Pole, off by a few degrees, but essentially going over the poles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they call it a polar orbit. It's inclined in such a way that it's going to pass over the same point on Earth every 16 days in the exact same sunlight.
I thought it was every day.
Well, it's going to pass over the same point every day, but it's going to be a different sunlight pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And with Earth sensing and remote sensing satellites like that, you want the same exact sunlight hitting things when you take those shots.
Right.
So this one is designed so that every 16 days, it's kind of a standard orbital design that every 16 days it'll come back over the same exact point
at the same time.
Exact time of day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that orbit kind of rotated just because as the Earth is going around the sun, you've got to account for where that shadow or the terminator is going to be. So you have to kind of rotate
and this
that
one
orbit.
is kind of special because it's going with the terminator. A lot of people or a lot of satellites, like the satellites they use for Google Earth, those don't go on the terminator. Those are actually trying to take that picture at noon every day, because that's when the best sun conditions are.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there's your polar launch, and we're super stoked about it. But I did want to bring up that, and this, I don't know, there's not really much to say, but another announcement has been made about a private company flying astronauts on the Dragon, and that would be Axiom Space.
Yeah.
And Axiom is kind of a cool company. They plan on building their own space station. So I guess this will be kind of a practice run. This one is going to go to the International Space Station. But in the future, they do have plans. I think they're going to test out some of their stuff on the space station, on the International Space Station. But then they do have plans to make their own, like, space hotel, basically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could see them using Bigelow just because cost plus it's already been tested. They could definitely use Bigelow designs.
Okay, so Axiom, I was under the impression that they were going to make their own structures. Are they more like an aggregator?
Well, no, they want to make their own structures. I'm just thinking from a cost perspective. It's much cheaper to buy something that's already been tested than to develop and test something yourself.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, three more astronauts, and apparently, just if my memory serves, you may find it on here as I'm scrolling through, but it's going to be one professionally trained astronaut, but it will be an Axiom employee that will be at the helm in case, they need, like, the Dragon controls itself, but in case there's any reason they need to take over. And then 3 paying passengers.
Yeah, paid passengers, and that's going to be a 10-day trip.
10 days, yeah. There you go. All right, so get your ticket. Actually, I'm thinking that they already have their tourists on this one, right? They've already bought their tickets.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
I'm pretty sure. I don't think they'd announce it unless they'd already sold those. Moving on. We're over an hour, so I don't want to burn through these too fast. We don't have like a time limit or anything, but I do want to point out that RocketShip just arrived this morning, and Ryan Bale, man, he's just been out there getting great shots. He was out there at 2 a.m, or at least that's when he posted. I think he said that he was out there for like 4 hours waiting on RocketShip to show up. And then today he posted, 12 hours later, at 2:43 this afternoon, he posted some shots of clearly Delta Heavy cores, which I didn't even know we had another Delta Heavy coming up in time. But then again, they like to stand their rocket up, months ahead of time because Delta Heavy's been on pad 37 for months, literally months now. So they just shipped 3 more cores, which will make up 1 Delta Heavy. Don't know what it's for, but they're here. So great job, Ryan. I wanted to talk about some of these videos that Blue Origin released. So they are showing some inside the factory footage here. We've got some an actual fairing. Let's see, starting first with the completion of the first full scale 7-meter fairing. That's going to be a big one.
That is a ginormous fairing.
Yeah, that's a big
That's
boy.
designed specifically for heavy DoD launches.
Mm-hmm. They don't have multiple fairings, right? It's all going to be the same fairing. Right.
It's gonna be clamshell.
Right. But they're all like, they don't have like different sizes. Like, you know how ULA,
No,
they'll
they
have
don't
different sizes.
They actually worked with like the company that makes the Ariane fairings
Okay.
to design this one.
Okay. But now, to be sure, they do make these here at the Cape.
Yes.
The Blue Origin building. If you've ever been down here, the Blue Origin building right across from the visitor complex. And then what was this other one? Let's see, the largest structure of our New Glenn rocket. Oh, because the reusable first stage tank. Yeah, so they showed footage, and it's in the high bay. I'd been wondering if they were gonna be constructing this in the like the big building, the first the big building that we saw being constructed over the course of like a year or two. But I guess this is in that newer building, the high bay, that they've been stacking this stuff. And it's like Chris G said last week. Somebody had asked if there was any hardware, if they were actually constructing the rocket in there, and he said, well, judging off of their timeline, they better be. And it's kind of nice that this week we see that, yep, they definitely are. They have some hardware going. They're bending metal over there. And then, let's see. Oh, perfect. And then keeping with Blue Origin, and I'll share the screen on this so you guys can see the map. There was I think it was just one of those like environmental assessment things. I don't know. It was one of those reports about changes that they were going to do to the roads and stuff, but you can see the route that they're going to take. A lot of us have been speculating, like, how are they going to get it over there? And I thought that they were going to take just NASA Causeway on down, cross this bridge here, and then go straight to the pad. But come to find out, I'm pretty sure I read this in Emery Kelly's article on Florida Today. This bridge is not strong enough to handle it. So what they're going to do is they're going to come out of the factory, go up, and go past where the old entrance to the visitor complex was, and go up north and go by the VAB. They're going to roll it right through. And that's kind of like a... there's a lot of like buildings and stuff in there. This isn't like just taking it through the most remote areas.
It's pretty wide. I've drove through it many times.
Yeah, it's wide. Now they did say
maybe some lights and poles or something.
Yeah, they said that there's going to be a lot of alterations to the roads and stuff, and they're actually going to have to take it right by 39A. So somebody, I want to say maybe Chris G or Chris B made the point, like, so there might be a photo opportunity where you could see, a Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy or even Starship on the pad while New Glenn is rolling by. Wouldn't that be neat? But
that'd be a good picture.
Yeah, but then it'll hit this road here. I'm not sure what this road's called, but it'll hit that road that goes all the way down into the Cape and out to the launch pad. And then this other line here, that's the route they would take from the port, because don't forget that New Glenn will be landing their first stage. And so that's the route. And from the port, they'll have to go all the way up here and then all the way this way and then back to the factory.
Dang. They're going to have to update that bridge.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't just drop the money to update the bridge.
Don't be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, at some point.
I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if they don't. He got the money to do it, so.
They just couldn't find anybody who's available right now because they're all working on I-4.
Constantly, right? Isn't I-4 like it's never
It's
never
the
ending.
never-ending project.
That's true. Blue Origin right now, they have every contractor you could think of out there. I was just out at the site today. It's just every trailer is a different contractor's name.
Oh, really?
Like
Yeah.
who's left that doesn't work for working for him?
Yeah, man, they're coming. It's going to be awesome. It's next year, right? Supposedly, isn't it 2021 is when they are planning on
For New Glenn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got some. Everybody's underestimating them. That's all I'm gonna say. Everybody's underestimating them.
Yeah.
They have got some. Yeah.
They got some tricks up their sleeve.
I'm just saying there's some places where throwing money at the problem actually helps, and spaceflight is one of those places.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Let's see what else we got. Oh yes, Mars 2020 is Mars 2020 no longer. We have a name. Anybody want to say the name? Bekah, what's the name?
Perseverance.
Oh, okay. Yes, Perseverance. Some people are already calling it Percy.
Percy. That's what I knew was about to happen.
Yeah.
Well, somebody asked Dr. Z if they could call it Percy, and he was like, "Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and call it Percy."
Well, that's cool.
That's what you get when you have these meetings in an elementary school.
So that's it. Yeah. So all these kids. Let's see. More than 28,000 essays by K through 12 students from every state and territory. Yeah, I want to read that essay that won. I mean, there were multiple suggestions for Perseverance. I remember going through the names, like the final, whatever it was, like 20 or 30 names that they had chosen. And multiple people, I think, had chosen Perseverance. A lot of the names were repeating, so maybe not Perseverance, but a lot of the names repeated. But I'd like to read that article or the essay.
What were the final names again?
Oh,
It was like Endeavor was one of them, I think. I can't remember all the names now.
Vitality. I don't know.
Vitality.
No, I don't think that was.
and in that voice.
Yeah, they have to say it like that every time you say it. It's like saying Ken Kramer. You have to say Vitality. I hope one day Ken picks up on how we say that. I don't know. Or how I say
so
it.
The other 8 of the final 9 were clarity, courage, endurance, fortitude, ingenuity, promise, tenacity, and vision.
Yeah, I remember that I had declared what my hope was, but I've already forgotten, and now I don't even.
I can't remember.
Even care.
I want to say endurance. Like I think I chose it. I went for endurance.
Yeah.
But
Like they needed to name the thing like Sapiens Precursor or something like badass sounding but very scientific. Yeah.
Yeah, Perseverance is good. I like it.
Yeah.
I can call it that. I'm gonna have to.
Oh yeah,
Because that's what it's called.
They gave the kid the big novelty check and everything.
That's it.
Oh, really? That he actually got some money out of the deal?
I don't think he got money, but he got to read his essay on air, and he talked about space camp. It was pretty cool, kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, my name's on that bad boy, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm pretty sure I did mine too. Oh, Seth said Vision was the famous one.
Vision, yeah.
Yeah.
My name's on it. My boy's name's on it.
We already had an insight. It wasn't going to be called Vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they did good. I like Perseverance. Percy.
Percy.
Next Horizon Spaceflight is on it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Anything else? I guess that's it. I had more tabs, but that's just where I was searching for stuff. Anybody else got anything else they would like to add?
No.
Anything from the horse barn?
No, everything was covered beautifully. All my questions have been answered.
All right. Well, then, let's see. There's a massive boarding pass to see it launch. Wait, what? Seth said it was a massive boarding pass to see it launch. I don't know what you mean, buddy. All right. Well, let's sign off. Let's see. Follow us on Twitter. You're probably already doing that if you're hearing this. So it's pressing 4 flight. That's a number 4. If you're watching, you can just see everybody's Twitter handles here. You got Matt Cutshaw, he's booster_buddies. Stephen Keagle, that's FLA Steve 321, and Bekah Penland is Game Master Bekah. And don't spell Bekah like those crazy people with the BECCA. Spell it right.
A biblical way.
The biblical way. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, have I see. So Seth was saying the massive boarding pass to see it launch. I guess it wasn't a big check. It was a big boarding pass.
That's what he got.
All right. Well, this has been a great show. Thanks everybody for joining us, and y'all have a great week. Great launch. Hopefully it goes tomorrow night. If not, Saturday's looking even better. Play us out, bro.
Audio version wherever you find your podcast.
Oh, yes. Anywhere you find your pods. Audio only.
Shutdown sequence initiated. Shutting down.